Hello, everybody. It's David from DealMachine. What did you guys think of that last masterclass last week by Steve Trang? The way he taught us how to actually talk to somebody who wants to sell their home at a discount, but they have objections that keep you from actually getting that deal under contract. Well, we've got a continuation of that today. In the same masterclass format, Paul Myers is going to teach a live audience how to handle something Steve didn't cover, which was about the budget. So actually, Steve's going to break down sales training for how to deal with budgetary concerns in this masterclass. We hope you guys are really enjoying this podcast. Most of you are listening because you want to quit a job that you hate and build a life you love. Wholesaling real estate is something that can help you make your annual salary monthly and have the time freedom to take more than 2 or 3 weeks of vacation. It's truly an amazing business model, and it excites me every time I get to actually do one of these pieces of content for you because I know how powerful it can be. So if you've gotten any value from this podcast, subscribe and leave us a review and let us know your comments in the Spotify comment section if that's where you're listening on this podcast. We hope you guys enjoy Paul Myers, and he's got a lot of experience having earned a $1.3 million in assignment fees in the last year himself. Thanks and enjoy this episode.
The Deal Machine REI Podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
Welcome. I want to tell you, hey, these master classes we do every single Wednesday. We bring in outside experts like Paul right here, where we're not focused on talking about DealMachine specifically. We're not doing really demos unless a partner that, or a speaker that comes on that is really inclined to do that. Always happy to do that, but the real main focus of these is really investing in you guys. Is really investing in your education and your team, in your network, and you meeting each other. If you could put in the chat here where you're watching from, that's always fantastic. Love to see that. Katie, welcome back. Awesome. Glad you're coming back here. That's fantastic. Yeah, if you can put in the chat where you're watching from, I know throughout this whole thing, again, we want to invest in your education, invest in bringing in experts like Paul here who are world-class at what they do, are growing their real estate investing businesses, and give you guys a time to learn from them, but then also have a conversation with them and also open up Q&A and give you an opportunity to ask really specific questions that will help you overcome barriers in your own businesses. So that's what these are all about. We do them every single Wednesday. If you're pro level, elite level, you're coming to these, you're talking to other people who are taking this serious, who are growing their real estate business. Some people are already, building out a team and have got quite a bit of traction. Some people, hey, they're doing that first deal and they're really, again, investing in their own education and spending their Wednesday afternoon with us. So welcome. I know Ryan on our side, he's going to help me out throughout today. Putting in a few links in the chat here. A couple of them, one would be his office hours, which I'll go through. If you could throw that in there, Ryan. There we go. Perfect. His office hours are Tuesday through Friday every week. That, if you check out the chat right there, feel free to bookmark those times in that link. That's the best time to ask DealMachine specific questions. That's a really good time to be able to come in and, be able to dig into the software and really work with Ryan one-on-one. He's phenomenal at that. So make sure to bookmark that time. And there you go. Jerry was with me today. Fantastic. Awesome. Love to see that Jerry's jumping in and really, asking questions and using it too. So feel free to bookmark that time and get involved with Ryan that way. For these as well, again, we want to make sure you guys meet each other too. So we have this dealmachine.com/elite, a networking spreadsheet that Ryan can throw in the chat here too. Feel free to click on that, jump in there, and you've got people who have been on these calls in the past, people that are looking to network. That's kind of the theme of today, is building relationships, right? Especially locally. So that's a great way to do that with other people who might be a future partner of yours, a future, business partner, or somebody you do a deal with in the future. We've had plenty of people from these calls be able to link up outside of these calls and do deals together. So make sure to get involved there. Get involved with our Facebook group too. That's something that, Ryan, if you can put that link in there too. Our Facebook group has been just a great support place to be able to, you can talk DealMachine in there too, but then in general, help meet each other, help support each other, help educate each other, and rely on that community, that group to really continue to get involved. So those are two really good places to invest in your network. Spend your time as wisely as possible by asking great questions here and meeting great people. So make sure to click on those links in the chat there. And then last thing on my laundry list here to get through is our past masterclass recordings. We've done over a year's worth of these. I mean, Paul, is this your third or fourth one with us?
I think it's the third.
Third? Okay, cool. I mean, Paul's been on a couple times before. Highly recommend checking out his past recordings too. But if you just go to that content.dealmachine.com, yeah, Katie, we can work with you. If you reach out to Ryan or I, we can get you access there from our customer success team can get those recordings unlocked for you. But yeah, there you go. Send Ryan an email, just Ryan@DealMachine.com, and he can help you out there. And if you go to that link, you can see we've got 60, 70 recordings at this point, and it's really covered the entire gamut. I mean, anything around. Anything from finding deals to funding deals to running a team to Brad Chandler came on talking mental health. Like, we've had people talk about all kinds of creative subjects that really apply to the real estate investors today. So make sure to check out those past recordings, and again, highly recommend Paul's past recordings too. So I wanted to make sure to share all that with you guys, give you a nice warm welcome if it's your first time. If you've been here before, if you're a regular, welcome back. Always appreciate you guys jumping on and spending Wednesday with us. And today we're going to be really focused on learning from Paul how to build that real estate agent network, how to turn those agents into an amazing deal source for you. And he goes through a very detailed process, step-by-step playbook of exactly how he's done it in his business and how you guys can do it too in your own market. So really excited for this one today. Before we do that, we always, we have a tradition here of always starting off with good vibes. So let's share if you guys have any deals you're working on right now, any recent, any recent deals you've landed, maybe a hire you've made, any partnerships you formed, just anything big going on in your world. It could be personal or professional. Love to give you guys the floor here to share that first with the group, and we can celebrate your wins here. Anybody willing to step up? Don't mean to call people out here.
Amazing. I'll kick us off if you want.
Okay, go for it, guys.
We closed a deal yesterday. Surprise, surprise. It was an agent referral. Although it was listed. So it was actively listed, but we didn't find it while it was listed. The agents brought it to us. It's my second deal with them. Closed it yesterday. We took over, subject to the mortgage was $239,000 at 2.25%. And we paid the agent out of our pocket, $11,000. And then we paid the arrears that the person was behind in their mortgage, $6,000. And then we paid the seller another $10,000 in equity. And then we have about $8,000 in renovation costs. So all told, we're into it for about a little over 30, and it's got about $80,000 in equity. And then it's going to be a rental that I'm going to keep. So it should have between a $400 and a $900 monthly cash flow, depending on if we rent it traditionally or do a lease option. So definite win for us.
Congrats on that, Paul. Also, Joe Hodge, glad that you're in Austin, Texas, just like I am. I closed on another rental property last week in Indianapolis from Austin. So I'm very excited about that. And it meets the 1% rule. So I'm got the pictures up on Zillow. It's for rent, and excited to get that tenant in there.
David, was that the deal we were talking about that you were going to buy for $250?
No, it's a different deal. This was $165.
Nice. Congrats, brother.
Thank you, man.
Huge, man. Nice. Both of you guys.
The 250, the seller actually wanted to wait until school's out. She's a teacher, and I did call her back like you suggested to say, hey, you can close anytime. Like, let me just come over here. She scheduled the appointment, but then at the last minute she moved it. So we've got an appointment, I think, coming up next week. So that's a good reminder.
Okay.
Love it. Anybody else want to step up? I see a couple regulars. We've got Aaron, Jonathan. Don't mean to call you guys out, but if you have any wins this week, love to share with the group, or You're calling me out. Calling me out, dude. Oh, go ahead, Johnson. Calling you out.
I closed a $50K wholesale deal that I got from a VA's list that I didn't even pay for it. It closed yesterday, so pretty excited about that.
Wow. Great work. Ring that bell. There we go. There we go, Paul. Sadly, Zoom blocks out the ring, but nice. Who was that was jumping in there after I called you out? Was that Jonathan?
Hillary Huffman's on. Hi, Hillary.
Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, this is my first time joining one of y'all's calls. Excited to be here. I'm finally have access to DealMachine, and I'm like partnering up with someone who has a little bit more time flexibility and freedom than I do. So I'm super, super excited to leverage this amazing tool that you guys have created. So very, very pumped about it.
That's amazing. And welcome onto the platform and welcome to the masterclass. It's so nice to see you here after becoming Instagram friends earlier this year. When I did some videos with Heather Blankenship. So you actually found somebody, you're going to partner on the deal with them. So like they're driving it for you. Is that how it's working with DealMachine?
Yeah. So essentially, yes. I've had some really, really terrible experience door knocking in the New Orleans area. So the two of us, we balance each other out perfectly. He's got the time to drive for dollars, door knock, like contribute to like my leads list. And then he doesn't necessarily have the income at this time to offset, direct mail and those different sort of campaigns that we're going to try to ramp up. So it's a pretty good working arrangement as of now. So hopefully it pans out. I'm excited about it.
Oh, great. Congratulations. How'd you end up finding this person?
So Jamil Damji is a friend of mine. And we met he was formerly like an astro flipping student. We met at one of his meetups, and he happens to be a licensed electrician who's worked on some of my properties. And we just kind of got to know one another, and he was sort of telling me his struggles. And I'm like, look, like you're too good at this and you've closed too many deals to like throw in the towel now. Like I can fix your problem. Let's partner up and make some deals happen. So we're combining our buyers lists and things like that and coming up with sort of a plan of attack, so to speak.
Love it. I'm glad you got connected with the person you're partnering with through Jamil.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy.
Paul Myers is pretty pumped that you're doing 300K deals.
Yeah.
Well, no, so they're each 100K. Yeah, the New Orleans market, and guys, these are, one is pre-foreclosure. One of them is like just about to expire off the MLS, like over 100, been on there for too long. But yeah, my flip spreads are pretty okay. And all of these projects have a pretty tight timeline. So if I can do like 3 of those within the next 8 weeks, I'll be pretty happy with that.
Amazing. That's amazing. Jeez, that's crazy.
Glad you could join us here today too. So thanks for jumping on.
It's good to see you, man. Your demo is the reason I signed up for DealMachine. So props.
Nice.
You get
that's on going with Heather, or
yeah, I'm a part of Heather.
Nice. Okay, awesome. Yeah, Heather's great. You have a great group. So thank you.
Let's go, Matt Cam.
Who else has got some wins?
Yeah. Anybody else want to share with the group before we kick it over to Paul?
I'll throw something out there real quick, gentlemen.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I am 83 properties away from having 1,000 properties with my team in the app, and we've already started getting some response from the mailers. So we're rocking it.
Whoa, awesome.
Love to hear that. Keep us posted, man. Keep tell us next Wednesday how it's going.
Yeah, I'll check in really quick. About a little over a weekend on DealMachine app. Came from introduced DealMachine from the Faster Freedom mentorship. So I'm looking to do my own acquisitions and find my own deals for just expanding my real estate portfolio. So looking for fix and flips right now. It's tough with interest rates on the long-term holds, but if it makes sense, I'd love to keep as many as I can. So,
Man, Jonathan, I'm so happy you're here. And I used the interest rates that were available for that property I took down last week. And I think that it's definitely possible to find deals that still work, even with those interest rates. So I wouldn't want you to be discouraged.
nope. Just as soon as I find something that makes sense, I'll hang on to it. But right now, just getting some fix and flips and potentially some wholesale deals to get a little bit more capital to work with.
Totally get that. Sounds like a great strategy. You'll definitely learn how to do some more wholesale deals with bigger margins on this call, because I know I've been to Paul's presentations and everybody always loves what he has to say.
Mm-hmm. His last one was really good around fix and flips too. But we did, I was going to mention last week we had on Sam Prim. So, we're definitely a fan of Fast for Freedom and everything they're doing. And are you in St. Louis, Jonathan?
No, I'm in western Wisconsin.
Gotcha. Okay.
I got properties in Wisconsin and Minnesota. So
cool. Okay. Nice. Well, welcome. Glad you're on here too. Right. Yeah. Go ahead, Gieffert.
Starting to get some callbacks from the mailers I've been sending out. So exciting. Hopefully, find a couple of deals through that.
Amazing, man. What have the responses been so far?
I mean, positive. They've been like, "Oh, wait, you really do this kind of thing?" And
Yes, you've been pleasantly surprised, right? People are
absolutely
interested in selling.
So, I was just on the phone with one of them today and whatnot. And she was just asking like, "Oh, well, is this like serious? Like you were looking at buying my house kind of thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I can't really give you a great like price range right now. I haven't actually looked at the house, inside of the house and everything. But if you're looking to move fast and get cash, then yeah, I'm on."
Amazing. You'll have to let us know how those appointments go next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All those fall wins added to big wins, man. That's awesome. All right. And anybody else? Or we can start
there. Megan.
Yeah. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
So yeah, I just partnered up with someone through Facebook. So we'll see. And he has off market cash properties. So I'm super excited about that. And hopefully I get my first deal.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, for sure.
There we go. Love it. Well, love to see we have so many first-time people on here too. So again, every single Wednesday we do these. For today we're gonna have Paul Myers on, which I think we are. There he is. So he ran away right before I can introduce him. But thank you everybody for stepping up. Love to hear those wins from just making that first step and starting to have the conversations with sellers all the way through to people doing consistent deals like this. It's exciting to see you guys support each other. So thanks for celebrating each other. For Paul, he's somebody who's just been involved with these since the start. Like he's truly a go-giver of this community, somebody who has stepped up and volunteered to say like, hey, I know a lot about this. I know a lot about that. And, him being able to share that knowledge with our community is so appreciated over here. And we always get such phenomenal feedback every time he steps in and shares his knowledge on these, on any of these sessions with our community. So he's somebody who has built a 7-figure business in less than 2 years. He is, again, just a valued member of this community. And Paul, if you've got your camera working there, I'll try to turn it over to you. I'll be monitoring the chat. I know David's going to bring us home at the end of this call, so we'll try to moderate the questions coming in the chat. If you guys can either hit the raise hand button or put questions in the meeting chat, we'll keep track of those throughout this whole thing. But Paul, go ahead and maybe introduce yourself a little more, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can you hear me all right, Matt?
Yeah. Sound great.
Okay, sweet. Perfect. First off, a huge thank you to David and Matt for having me. This is my 4th time I was thinking about it, because I did the fix and flip, and then I did the vivid vision, and I did the back half of the Sandler sales training process. So first of all, just thank you to David and Matt for having me a fourth time. And also, I'm really looking forward to giving you guys a big hug and maybe playing some pickup basketball in Indianapolis this October. So my wife and I are booking our airfare this week and pumped about that. We're excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't gotten details from David on the mastermind, check that out for October 11th and 12th.
Please open up your podcast app right now and leave us a review and let us know what you thought of this episode. It means so much because the reviews help us get in front of more people. And the more people we can get in front of, the more we can help them achieve financial freedom. And we also get more energy to put more content out like this to help you. So by leaving us a review, it will give you more content to come to help you along in your journey. Thank you so much.
A little bit, if you want to ask Q&A, just click down in the reactions button and click raise hand. And then Matt, you can just interrupt me, if you will, just like scream out, unmute yourself and scream out, and I'll answer questions live as we go through this. So hopefully that you guys don't have to save Q&A till the end, but if you need to, that's fine too. And I'll try and stay a few minutes after as well. So, all right, with that, let me share my screen and we will kick this off. And Matt, if you'll just confirm if you guys can see my Canva presentation, I'll go. Yep. Okay, sweet. So a little bit about me. I'm going to be talking to you today about what I call RWA, which is relationships with agents, and how I've done this. And what I'm excited about is that I don't think anyone is teaching this throughout the entire stratosphere. There are some people that teach how to move virtually between markets and go after listed properties. But ultimately, what I've done is created a comprehensive strategy for actually building relationships within just one market. If you're a one market man like I am, I'm in Augusta, Georgia. How do you build a relationship with all the agents in your market, especially if there's 2,000 agents, so that they'll think of you when they come across that one distressed home a year? So a little bit about me. This is my family. I've got a wife of 16 years for last week, and then I've got 3 kids, and then this new little one here on the left. Thanks, Keeper, for the applause. If you look on the right, you see the Masters logo. So, and you can look at my name here, Paul Myers, in Augusta, Georgia. I've lived here my entire life, and I've built a real estate investing business here in Augusta. And I actually started off, oh my gosh, my first rental was 07, which was Asia referral as well. But I started off, guys, in the recession. So 2009 to 13, I started doing double dips with agents. And double dips is just simply where you come to MLS or Zillow, you find an actively listed property, and then you make an offer on it directly through the listing agent as opposed to bringing your own buyer's agent. So I did that during the recession from 2009 to 13. I did it again and again and again and again and again. And I kept buying VA foreclosures. That became my niche till basically I became a financially free multimillionaire. I was working in a corporate job, 4 different companies over 13 years from age 22 to 34. And then I retired after that and started my own real estate investment firm. But it was through relationships with agents, double dipping with bank-owned REO agents, that I basically became financially free and became a multimillionaire and built my own rental portfolio. So regardless of whether you're a wholesaler, fix and flipper, buy and holder, whatever, what I'm going to talk to you today is just a lead generation strategy, regardless of your exit strategy. So let me tell you a little bit about goal setting, because that's how I stumbled onto this. I got away from building relationships with agents over the last couple of years, and I started spending a bunch of money on marketing. Actually, I found DealMachine. I signed up for the elite membership. I signed up for List Builder, Street View, all the add-ons I could get. I still have them all to this day. But as I went to goal setting with my wife, we went to this historic hotel in Aiken, South Carolina. I read this book here, which I'd highly recommend. And in day 4 of this book, it talks about basically how to double your business. And it takes you through how to set BHAGs, which Jim Collins talks about in Good to Great. A BHAG is just simply a big, hairy, audacious goal. It's something that might take a longer time frame to complete, but if you do it, it's a way that you can grow your business at least 2x, maybe even 10x. So I set a BHAG for this past year, because this was January of 2022 when I went on this goal planning retreat with my wife. And I set a goal of 1.5 million. Now, the former year I had done 615,000, which you can see, which I'll share with you in a little bit. But that 615,000 it was all direct to seller except for a small little piece of the pie. In fact, I'll show you that pie right here. 520,000 of the business I did in 2021 of the 615,000 was direct to seller. You can see right here, that's 85%. Then when I looked at all the other revenue I had, I realized I had done these 3 deals that totaled $95,000, and they were all just agents. 3 agents that called me and said, Paul, will you buy this home? It's a no-brainer. It's kind of like if you ever played Castle and you get that card, the small deal card that says borrow from the bank if you must, but buy this deal. Well, I had 3 of those that came from agents in 2021. And so when I was sitting down with my wife, back to this slide, I thought, what do I dislike about this 520 grand right here that I did? What did I hate about this? And it was pretty simple. Number one, I hated that there was a rarity of repeat business. So anytime you buy a home from a seller, unless it's a landlord unwinding their portfolio, you're generally going to buy that person's one home and then you're going to be done. I didn't like that. I wanted at least the prospect for repeat business. The second thing I didn't like was the large marketing expense associated with my gross revenue for marketing direct to seller. So I spent last year to generate, I typically spend about 25% of whatever the revenue number is. So right here, 520 grand, I'm probably going to spend $125,000 to $150,000 in marketing expense just to generate that revenue. Whereas these 3 deals, my marketing expense, does anyone want to put it in the comments section? 0. Exactly, Kiefer. Literally, the agents just called my cell phone and said, hey, Paul, I know you buy homes. Do you want to buy this home? Even if you just bought it and put it on the MLS, it's a no-brainer. So with that, let me define a couple terms for you. So when I talk about listings, I'm talking about a listed property on the MLS listed by an agent. When I mention agent referrals, I'm talking about anytime an agent brings a property to me, whether it's listed or whether it's not. If it's not listed, that's generally referred to as a pocket listing, which are illegal in some states like mine. Pocket listings are illegal. And then my disposition strategy, like I mentioned earlier, guys, I don't care what you do to dispo your properties, whether it's wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold, or if you heard me share a win earlier today, I talked about a subject 2 that I bought yesterday that I'm selling on a wrap. Doesn't matter the dispo strategy. What today is all about is how to generate leads from real estate agents. But I assure you, if you don't know how to dispo properties, if you don't have a buyer's list that you can wholesale to, or if you're not like Hillary Huffman who can take on $100,000 margin fix and flips, then you're not going to be able to make money no matter where you generate the leads, whether it's DealMachine or whether it's agent referrals. So that's a little bit about some terms. I learned a lot from Jerry Norton, so I always like to give him credit about, if you don't know him, he's got a great podcast. He has over like 600 podcast episodes and 1,800 YouTube videos. He's been on this masterclass at least once or twice. I learned from him how to go after listed properties, and I thought that would be a huge boon for me when I started this out. In fact, if you look right here, what I thought I would be able to do would be a lot of listings and agent referral. That's what I call the division. But I'll show you on the next slide how it panned out. But your off-market spend on marketing, if you don't have any spend on a deal, is typically converted into pure profit. So if you do a listed property or an agent referral and you have no marketing expense, your profit goes up into the 50% or sometimes 75% range when you don't have to spend this orange block on marketing. If you're using Profit First, if you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure many of you guys have read Profit First and you know what I'm talking about. So this is ultimately what I wanted to create, which is a higher net profit business through extinguishing the cost for marketing. So this was my B-hack. I decided I would do 375 grand in listing deals that I found on the MLS, 375 grand in agent referrals, and then I would increase my direct to seller business from 520 to 750. And that would be how I would go from 615 to 1.5 million. All right, so let's see how I did. Spoiler alert, this is how I did in 2022. I did 412 grand in agent referrals. So that became the biggest slice of the pie. Listings became a very small slice. So I didn't actually end up getting lots of listed properties. I did probably 3 to 4 times as much revenue on getting pocket listings or direct referrals from agents. And then I added on a couple other free things like foreclosures and tax liens. And then I did increase my direct to seller business as well from 520 to 630. So did I hit my final BHAG of 1.5? No, but I got from 615 to 1.32 million, which is more than double in 1 year. So let me tell you basically how I created this agent referrals, this 31%. If you want to know how to go buy listed properties, go listen to Jerry Norton. He's incredible. He's the master of that strategy. My strategy is, how do you build relationships with agents so you get an exclusive look before something gets listed, and you can get what I call an agent referral. Okay, so my business plan was to create a plan where I could engage every agent in my market, which is pretty aggressive if you think about it. My market, I have 2,200 real estate agents. So I created a whole nother division, and I called it listings and agent referrals. So I'm going to walk you through all the steps I took. I think there's about 24 steps to how I added this 412 grand. So that was back here in this green shade. How did I add that 412 grand with zero spend in marketing? So first, if you're interested, you can hire an acquisitions manager. Now, I don't know if you guys are solopreneurs or if you're at a team where you have a team yet. I've got a team of 7, but I hired this gentleman on the right here. His name is DeMargo. And it's generally speaking good to hire someone that's licensed. Why? Because they speak the language of a real estate agent. They've been through the 75-hour pre-licensing and the 25-hour post-licensing. In your state, those time requirements are probably different to get your real estate license, but they've gone through all that and gotten their license. I also looked for someone that was tired of retail real estate. They were tired of doing open houses and working weekends, or maybe they just weren't making a lot of money. DeMargo was a Keller Williams agent who had capped, which means he paid 18 grand to KW, but he had only ended up with, I think, 36 grand. And he was more interested in investing than brokerage anyway, which is a great sign for a real estate agent that might be a fit for an acquisitions manager role focused on listings and agent referrals. The scorecard is pretty simple. It's dials, offers, and signed contracts. That's pretty much it. Whether you're going after listed properties or introducing yourself to agents and positioning yourself to get referrals, those are ultimately the 3 metrics that you would have on an acquisitions manager scorecard. So step 1, optional, hire an acquisitions manager. Step 2, build a list of all the agents in your market. So there's several ways you can do this. You can, if you have a friendship, I had a friend that was a broker in charge in my market. So he went into the MLS and pulled a broker level report, which was an MLS stack ranking. For those of you who don't know, that real estate agents that produce sides of transactions, they report those transactions in the MLS when they close out their listings. They report the list side and the sales side and what their sales volume was. That all kind of funnels up into the MLS. So the real estate agents who are, of course, really competitive can compete with one another and see the stats. So he exported a list of, like I said, 2,200 agents. There were only 1,600 of them that had actually done a deal in my MLS. So he took those 1,600, stacked them 1 to 1,600, and exported that and gave it to me. There's a couple other ways you can get this. You can get it from CUSAMLS.net. You can go to the brokerage websites of all the different brokerages in your area. So Keller Williams, Remax, all the independent brokerages, you can go to their websites and you can find the contact information for all the real estate agents. Like I mentioned, in my city, Augusta, we have about 400,000 people. I had 2,200 licensees and 1,600 had closed a deal in the MLS. So you get to build a list of agents. Those are your prospects. Step 3, add the agent to your personal cell phone. So I don't use a call rail. I don't use my Mojo dialer. I don't use any of that stuff. When I'm calling a real estate agent, it's straight from my iPhone. I save their name and number, and then I dial, okay? So they're not, if they decide to text me back, if they decide to leave me a voicemail or call me back, I immediately know who they are and have the brokerage in my phone. It takes like 10 seconds to add them into your phone, but once they're in your phone, they're in there for good, okay? Call and introduce yourself. So start with the top producers, but ultimately we called everybody. It took us, I don't know, maybe 6 months, plus or minus a couple months. But first I put DeMargo in a chair right beside me and he sat behind me and I just called and I called and we called, a couple hundred agents a week. We did this week after week after week till we went through all 2,000 agents or 1,600 agents, okay? It took a while and we have a basic script. It's kind of, I did this script when I spoke in Phoenix, Arizona at the Growth Summit, the Wholesaling Growth Summit. And we're going to give you a link to that video if you want to hear the script. But basically, the script is introduce yourself. Hey, this is Paul Myers with Myers House Buyers. Did I catch you at a good time? And if they say, or actually, David, do you want to role play this with me?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, sweet. So, David, you're going to be a real estate agent, kind of like Brent Daniels did, and we're going to role play. And I'm gonna call you, and I've never talked to you before. You're just a regular real estate agent. Okay. Okay. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, hey, David, Paul Myers with Myers House Buyers. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yeah, this is a good time.
Sweet. Well, hey, just wanted to introduce myself to you. I was calling for two specific reasons. The first is I wanted to just introduce myself and let you know that we're a local real estate investment firm here in Augusta. Last year, we bought 64 homes. And if there's ever a way we could work together, I'd love to connect and put a face to a name, maybe on social media, and share my contact info with you if that's something that interests you.
Okay, yeah, I would love to work together. We can list your properties, or we can actually give you listings that we have.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, why don't I send you, so for the listings that you have, David, why don't I share maybe our buy box so you can understand the price ranges we operate within and the geographic areas that we operate within for fix and flips and buy and holds. Is that something you want me to just maybe email you?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, and what's your email?
My name is the real estate agent queen at gmail.com.
Okay, got that. Real estate agent queen at gmail.com. And then you also mentioned, David, that you're open to listing properties. Well, have you heard about what we do in terms of the triple dip?
Triple dip?
You want me to explain what that is?
Yeah, I like
So
this.
So, David, if you have a distressed property and you bring it to us, not only will we let you write our offer and represent us as an investor, that way you can get the list side and the sales side when we close. But also, if we decide that our exit strategy is going to be to fix and flip the property instead of keeping it as a rental, we'll come back to you and let you list the property for us and make a third commission, which is why we call it a triple dip.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So instead of making 3%, I can make 9%?
That's right. Typically 6% when we buy the property and then another 3% or whatever you want as a list side commission when we resell it.
Wow, I wish everyone was like you, Paul.
Well, I appreciate that so much. So why don't we do this, David? I'll connect with you on Facebook and LinkedIn just so you can put a face to a name. And then I'll email you to the real estate agent queen at gmail.com with a little flyer that has our buy box on it. And if you want to lock me in your phone, you can say my name is Paul Myers, and I'll shoot you a text after this as well, just so you can lock me into my phone. And if you come across a distressed home, we'd be honored to work with you.
That sounds good. I'm saving your name as Triple Dip.
That sounds great. And hey, David, before I let you go, let me ask you one other question. Do you know of any good deals right now?
Oh yeah, I've got about 3 great deals. I'll send it to you.
Okay, sweet. All right, well, I'll text you, and then I'll shoot you an email. And if you want to share the information of those deals, that'd be great.
Oh my gosh, that sounds great, Paul. Thank you so much.
All right, I look forward to working with you. And then also, if you'll respond to my text, let me know one day that you're open for lunch in the next week or two, or stopping by our office to meet together in person. I'd love to talk to you more in person about what we do and see if there's a way we could work on some deals together.
That sounds good as long as there's dip.
All right, thanks, Dave. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds great. Oh, shoot.
That sounds great.
All right, y'all give Dave a round of applause. That was good. Okay, so that's just a little bit of the script right there for you guys. It's very introductory. You kind of saw how I pivoted into being able to offer her to list our fix and flips. So that's a triple dip. I explained that. You also saw how I pivoted off of her saying, I might have something that would be a fit for you. And if she really did have 3 deals, I would have delved into those 3 deals, but I want to be sensitive to the time that we have on our webinar today. So that's the script. All right. Next, what I just hung up the phone with David. What am I going to do? Number one, I'm going to add her into my CRM, which I use Active Campaign. So, and then I'm going to I have a list inside my CRM called Real Estate Agent. And I actually use Podio for my direct to seller business for leads, but for the agents and my cash buyers, we do all that in Active Campaign. So I add her into my CRM. I add her to the real estate agent list. And I'll explain why. That'll be so she gets a newsletter that we send each month. And then I add a note about how the conversation went. So for David, I would say, hey, had a really good positive conversation with David. She's very open to us, to what we do. She was interested. She sent us 3 deals. So I would tag her as a VIP agent. And then I would add a follow-up task to probably call her in 30 days because of how good the conversation was and how open she was. All right. So that's steps 5 through 8. So now I'm out of my... Yes.
Really quick. You told me the idea, so. Hope had a good question here saying, we also practice this strategy in our business, but we have found that even if they bring the property, they're not always good on the seller side. What is your recommendation on this?
They're not willing to be on the seller side?
Hope, if you want to, Hope, if you're able to unmute, feel free to clarify if you have a chance. But
if she's saying that the agent's not comfortable with dual agency, so I didn't do this with David, but I would have typically said,
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Hope.
So sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button. So no, I'm not saying that they're not willing to do that. I'm just saying that they're not always the best at on the selling side as far as turning the property.
Oh, you mean if you list it with them, you don't want to list your fix and flip with them?
No, we always guarantee that we do that with them, but we have had some instances recently where they brought us a property. They were really good to work with on the selling part of the side. Even though I felt like they put the work in, but yet there was still something missing, that the property was not moving. And I know that that's not always due to the real estate agent. That could be something on our end as well. But I really felt like if it was in the hands of other realtors, that it would have moved a little bit faster.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sure. Well, if you want to withhold the promise of the triple dip, you can do that. That's something that we decided in our business would help take us to 10x levels.
Gotcha.
Because it would incentivize agents even more than just the double dip. So totally okay if you want to refrain from extending that triple dip offer. We didn't always do that. For several years, all we did was double dips. And then I had a select few real estate agents I would list all my fix and flips with, because they would give me like 1% list commissions. And I still felt like I got really good service. So you don't have to do that. Does that answer your question?
Great question.
It does. I was just wondering if he had that experience as far as them not being as good on the sell side of things. But I think the triple is awesome. I just, like I said, we just recently experienced that. So I thought maybe we should rethink it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something on our end that we need to change.
Well, there's things you can do to basically market your own properties, even though you list them with an agent, right? You can get them professionally staged. You can text the Zillow link to any of the top performing agents in your market. Like if I'm going to list a fix and flip that's $100,000 profit like Hillary's doing over there, then I'm probably going to text that to like 10, 20, 30, 40 top producing agents in the market. I'm not relying on my listing agent at all, right? So and plus I have all the agents in my database, in my CRM here. So I've put 2,200 agents in my CRM. So if I list a fix and flip, even if I list it with David Lecco and he stinks as an agent, I can still just click a button and email out the fix and flip to 2,200 agents.
Okay.
So
you totally answered my question. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I can say, hey, if you're interested in this fix and flip, call David Lecco. So,
right.
All right, let's move to the next slide. So or is that Matt? Any more questions? Okay, thumbs up. We're done.
Yeah.
So you heard me talk to David, and you heard me say to him, because I don't want to come off as a stalker, I said, hey, why don't I connect with you on social media like Facebook and LinkedIn, just so you can put a face to a name. So what have I done right there? I've established, I'm then going to go to Facebook and LinkedIn and hit them up and send them a request. And I'm trying to do 2 things. Number 1, establish facial recognition. Number 2, I want to be present in their news feed with my future content, which is going to be directly catered to real estate agents. Okay. So then I'm going to follow up. So that should make pretty good sense. I could show you guys, let me show y'all a quick post that I did, because you remember I told you about the deal I did yesterday, right? where I double dipped with an agent. So I'm going to show you a sample Facebook post that I just sent to my marketing manager to post today. So here's an example of some social media content. Congratulations to Kevin and Deborah Berry. That's the agents that brought me the deal at Maybom Real Estate for yet another successful closing and double dip. Thanks to the closing attorney at the law office for helping with the closing. If you're an agent who wants to be on both sides of more transactions, call Myers House Buyers. Hashtag 6% greater than 3%. Okay, so that is just like a sneak peek into a little bit of social media post that if an agent accepted my Facebook friend request, then from that point on, they would then be in the flow of my news feed, right? So hopefully that makes sense, and they would get my future content. All right, so next, let me see what we got. Step 11. I mentioned to David that I would text her my number so she would lock me in. So generally I'll say, hey, thanks for taking my call. This is my cell. Feel free to save it. Paul Myers at Myers House Buyers. So I sign my text, okay? I'll also sometimes text a JPEG image of a flyer with our buy box criteria, which I think is helpful to give them in text format. Some agents like text, some like email. I don't know which. So I try to cover it all with both text and email. All right, next, I told David I would email him my contact info. So I typically attach a credibility packet to that email, which just is an overview of our company. It has like a letter of recommendation from our closing attorney, who we've had over 100 closings with. It has state of Georgia, state of South Carolina, certificate of organization. It has Google reviews on it, agent reviews, that kind of stuff. So I'll attach that and just say, hey, if you'd like to know a little bit more about our company, here's our credibility pack. So I've shared our bona fides, which I think distinguishes me from a wholesaler into the class of real estate investor. And then I think that's a huge differentiation that all of you should be trying to make as you start engaging real estate agents. You don't want to use the word wholesaler. You don't want to identify as a wholesaler. You don't want to be use the word assignment. You know, all those things you just kind of want to avoid in your conversations with them. You can talk about reselling to investor partners is what generally we say, okay? If we're going to wholesale it. All right. Additional steps that I added to my business plan over time. So I just showed you a social media post that I would post after I closed a deal with an agent, right? So when an agent reads that, they're going to think, man, I want to be on more sides more often. I wonder how Paul did that deal with Kevin and Deborah Berry. They're actually in my brokerage at Maybom, and I want to know more about that. So if you go look at my TikToks, my social media posts, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything is catered to the real estate agent avatar. So if y'all send me a Facebook friend request and a LinkedIn connection, I'll accept that, and you can rip off my content. I encourage you to just take my posts and rip them off and copy them and use them in your own business. Another thing to keep in mind is the National Association of Realtors study from 2022 says that the average real estate agent is a 56-year-old female. So when I make a social media post, that is the avatar that I have in mind that I'm targeting that post towards. Okay. All right. Now I know Matt had to step out early. So David, if there are any questions, just let me know. Step 14, I created a sub list of VIP agents in my CRM. The VIP agents are someone that have either closed a deal with them or they've actively referred us a home. Okay. And those VIP agents, I call them monthly, not just quarterly. Again, that's a sub list within my CRM active campaign. Step 15, how we work with agents. So cash buyer list is a great way to pivot. So you might talk to a real estate agent that's an investor that says, man, if I find a great deal, there's no way I'm going to call you. And you just say, hey, that sounds good. I wouldn't call me either. But why don't you tell me, since you're an investor, why don't you tell me a little about where you're looking to buy homes? And maybe we could sell you a home. You know, last year we gave over 50 homes to investors such as yourself. If you can help me understand your buy box, then maybe instead of you bringing me discounted deals, then I can bring you a discounted deal that fits your buy box. So there's a pivot in the script where if you're dealing with an agent that's an investor themselves, and there's no way they would bring you a deal, or they say that overtly to you, then you pivot and you want to get them on your cash buyer list and ask them what their buy box is. You can also, right here, bullet point 3, explain the transition from the double dip to the triple dip. So you heard me talk to David, and I just did a little bit of an education piece on what is the double dip, what is the triple dip. Also commonly referred to as dual agency. So you need to ask an agent, are you comfortable with dual agency? And Jerry Norton has a lot of good videos that are about this as well that I encourage y'all to watch. But you can explain to them, hey, if you're comfortable with dual agency, you can write my offer and we're unrepresented, and then you can be on both sides of the transaction. Or one other subtlety. Go ahead, David.
I feel like that's a question that the agents will love to hear. Don't you feel like they all love to do dual agency?
Yeah, they love to hear it. As long as their broker allows it, they love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only had like 2 instances in my entire career where the agent did not want to write my offer. And so I just wrote the offer myself because I've been a licensed agent for 15 years. I've had my license on the side. I've never done anything with it.
Great presentation as always, Paul. Actually, I think Paul's computer just died based on the message we saw earlier.
Yeah. Battery, running out of battery.
Yeah, exactly. And then the abruptness of his presentation ending. So I know, Derek, you've got a question to see what his compensation structure is for his acquisitions manager. And if you guys have more questions, I will make sure that you get answers to them, whether Paul comes back in a minute or so or afterwards, we can follow up for sure. But in summary, I know that, Paul's given this presentation a couple times. It has doubled his business. A huge advantage is it doesn't have any marketing costs because it's all referral based. And then it's repeat too. So as he started out the presentation, I just wanted to mention that. And I saw that we had somebody in the chat earlier that said they actually had used this exact same strategy to acquire a property for 42% under the ARV. Who was that? I saw that it was up quite a bit. I forget who that was.
That was me, David. It's Hillary Huffman.
Oh, it's you again. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have any more that you wanted to expand on that might be helpful?
Well, I would say and I know obviously with DealMachine, direct mail, all these things, like there's so many different strategies, but with my local kind of agent outreach, so to speak, I try to position myself when something else, like I want to be the first person anyone calls when something that is under contract falls through. So I know a ton of people, obviously the MLS, like everyone has access to it, or like you can see all the listings. But if you kind of filter, a lot of people eliminate things that are pending. That's actually kind of my bread and butter, because certain people, and mind you, I go for homes that are in pretty rough condition. So if you can be at the forefront of agents' minds, to be the first person to contact when a deal falls through, that's when I come in. So in this particular example, the court date is set. She's pre-foreclosure and I'm kind of her only option. So yeah, it was originally listed for $250. I have it under contract for $145. The rehab will take about 4.5 to 5 weeks and should walk away with about a 105 given my current rehab estimate. So that's sort of the tactic I use in certain instances, but I don't know if that's helpful to anyone, but don't eliminate all of those under contract properties, especially if they're in need of rehab, because a lot of people, the financing falls through.
Thanks so much for sharing it. And we've got Paul back as well. And that was an amazing deal to share. And staying top of mind makes a whole lot of sense. Paul, are you back in action? Did you get
Sorry, my laptop died and I had to plug it in. So
we knew exactly what happened because you just missed that message earlier without a care.
If you want to make me co-host again, then I'll share my screen. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I've got to do it. I see the chat now. 1 second. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. So I think we were talking about let me put this back up. Okay. There we go.
Hey, Paul, it's Nick. We were talking about dual agency, and my experience has been if their broker won't allow them to do it,
Yep.
they have somebody that they work with regularly.
Correct, which is called designated agency. So that's another workaround for dual agency. There's about 1 million workarounds. So they can pick an agent within their brokerage, designate that agent. It's called designated agency, and that agent will typically then pay them a 25% referral fee as well, which is pretty nice. So yeah, designated agency. Another way is a way that completely excludes dual agency that agents don't really know, but I've been through license law and I'm now a broker, so I know this. But if on the purchase and sale agreement, they indicate that they're working with the seller as a client and the buyer, you as a customer, that completely negates dual agency. So because when you're a customer, all they do is they're only fiduciary response. I mean, they have the golden rule of responsibility to treat you the way they would want to be treated. But then all they do is do what you say. So they don't owe you any fiduciary responsibility. They just have to do what you say. So you give them the instructions, and we have a template which has all the offer terms on it. So anytime we're working directly with the listing agent, we send that to them and ask them to treat us as a customer, not a client. And then they don't owe any fiduciary responsibility to us. And all they do is basically take our order. Okay. So it's a couple ways around dual agency. Thanks, Nick.
Paul, do you have a minute to take a couple more questions?
Yeah, fire away. Or do you want me to go through these last two things real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we'll do them speed. So I explained the double dip and triple dip. 24-hour promise, we commit to basically if an agent brings us a deal, that we'll go look at it within 24 to 48 hours. Because you got to understand a lot of these agents are in time crunches where the seller has communicated to them that they want the property listed. And anytime they get a signed listing agreement, that listing agreement, they're bound by their local MLS board. They have to put that into the MLS within 24 to 48 hours or they're in violation of license law. So you, as an investor, have to be willing to go look at homes within 24 to 48 hours. So that's another promise I would encourage you to make towards real estate agents. Step 17, I've started to go into brokerages and speak on all different types of investing. So anywhere from working with brokers in charge, GMs, sales managers, office managers, directors of agency success and learning and development. Building relationships with all of these different levels within the org chart of a brokerage, especially large independent brokerages, will allow you to come in, do an educational free seminar on real estate investing, raising private money, underwriting fix and flips, how to buy and hold well and screen property managers. I've developed all this content within for presentations basically catered to real estate agents. I've gone into brokerages and done dozens of presentations at this point. Here's some examples of those speaking engagement topics: wholesaling, sales, cold calling scripts, leveraging introductions, generating referrals, and so on and so forth. Explaining to agents about investing is extremely enticing to them, and it gets the brokers in charge on board for inviting you in. But if they don't invite you in, you can have your own meetup, which is what this is. I call it the external cross-brokerage speaking engagement. It's where you would go into a neutral location like your local board office, or maybe you own an office like we have here, and you can just invite all the agents across your market, Keller Williams, Remax, and get all of them. And it's not just one specific brokerage's agents. We do this once a month. We've been doing this for a long time now. Step 19, the monthly newsletter. We just tell the most important bullet point is right here. Tell the deal stories that you're doing with agents, and then send the newsletter within your CRM active campaign to all 2,200 agents. I can't tell you how many times agents have responded to the newsletter and said, "Oh, I just got your newsletter. I'm so glad you sent this. It just reminded me I've got this distressed home that's coming up in about 2 to 4 weeks. Would you be interested?" Of course, I say, "Yes, I'm interested. We'll look at it within 24 to 48 hours." So a newsletter is huge. Future innovations that I'm currently implementing. I got my broker's license, which I think just, again, helps me relate more and more to agents. You can partner with your local board office in lots of different ways, renting their space for meetups, becoming a sponsor, joining the MLS and paying their dues, sponsoring their luncheons, serving on committees, just intertwining yourself into the agent community. I also go into real estate schools and I teach. So I'm teaching in like 3 different brokerage courses where you have a bunch of veteran agents that have decided they want to get their broker's license. And I've been invited in by the instructor of the schools to teach about different segments of real estate investing. That's been huge for me as well.
So teaching in schools, broker's license or pre-license or post-license, sponsoring real estate agent sales meetings, just like a roofer or a home inspector would, going in and offering that is pretty much the only way you can spend money in this segment. And it's very cheap. It's like $200 to sponsor a meeting typically. This is Jonathan. I think he was on the call earlier. Jonathan, are you on the call? Maybe, maybe not. Jonathan came to the DealMachine Mastermind in October in Indianapolis, and I just literally got this in the mail today. It says,
I'm on the call.
he's on the call. Here, I got your letter today. It says, thanks for your help in getting my agent referral network set up. And he did a $35,000 deal, and he mailed me a kind check. He did not have to send this to me. He sent me a $3,000 check. So, Jonathan, do you want to tell him a little bit about that deal in a nutshell?
Sure. It was from a newsletter. I think it was the second or third newsletter that I sent. It was from Board of Realtors, one town over where I do a lot of flips and stuff, have a few rentals. Agent I had never talked to before. He was not been there too long. He moved from Key West. He had the listing that had immediately gotten on the market, gone under contract, fell apart because it had some foundation issues that the seller thought they had fixed, and they had paid to have it fixed, and the consultant skipped out on them. First time I've ever heard of that happening. And he said they didn't want to put it back on the market. They were going to Tennessee to live in one of their basement, one of their parents' basements or something. Young military couple. He was getting out of the military. So I said, this place is fine. I went to look at it, met the sellers, never saw the agent. Went to look at it. Place was fine. I said, they should put this back on the market. He said, no, they're done. They just want to sell it. I said, well, I can't get to the number they're looking for, but I'll make you an offer. If they can work with it, fine. If not, no big deal. Sorry, I'm sweating to death. I'm moving some stuff out of my garage into rehabs we're about to start tomorrow. But
so you bought the deal and you made, what did you net on the fix and, because you did a fix and flip on it, right?
Yeah, about 30,000. They brought 12 or 13,000 to closing when it was all said and done. And we made about 30,000. I split that with my private money guy, who's one of my main partners. I paid him kind of the private money fair amount for it. And it was an easy rehab. We finished the foundation stuff, which was just like 13 floor joists or something. Painted a little bit. We did take out all the flooring and redo the flooring because it had like 5 different kinds of LVP for a 1,300 square foot house. We redid that, cleaned it up, pressure washed it, did a little vinyl and metal work outside, cut the grass, cleaned it up a little bit. We maybe had, I don't know, 25,000 in the rehab.
Yeah.
And as a rule of thumb, just to throw that out there, I try to make more than I spend on the rehab. So that worked out fine. We made it about almost around 30,000. And it only took, I think we had that house 6-8 weeks maybe.
So there you go. There's a $30,000 net profit on a deal that Jonathan didn't have to spend any money to get, because an agent, he took what I said in the DealMachine Mastermind in October, he implemented it over the next 3 months. In the second newsletter, he got a deal. And typically, Jonathan probably would have just written his own offer, but he let the listing agent double dip, because Jonathan's been a RE/MAX agent for like 15 plus years, but he let the listing agent write the offer, and it was a friend of his. He got the deal done, and it did a fix and flip on it to make 30 grand over the last 2, 3, 4 months. So
he even discounted the buyer agent commission because he wanted to help the seller, and he knew they were bringing money to closing.
There you go. And that's another thing we see a lot of. We see a lot of people in distress where the real estate agent, the listing agent, doesn't want to charge a commission. So what they do is say, I'm not going to take anything. And then we step in and we pay the commission out of our pocket as the buyers. I actually did that on the deal I bought subject to yesterday. We paid $11,000 of the $14,000 in commission. So Jonathan, thanks for sharing that. That's a little bit of my family. I don't have time to tell my story, but of open heart surgery in the last 2 years. I've had 2 open heart surgeries. So I'll save that for another time. And if you want to get my contact info, you can scan this QR code. If you want to schedule a 30-minute call with me to find out if this type of stuff would work in your market, I'm more than happy to chat with you. I'm doing a 90-day group coaching program starting July 6th. So 5 slots for that. And with that, David, I know we're 5 minutes over. Can I open up for some more Q&A?
Yeah. So Derek actually said that he wants to know your acquisition manager structure. How do you actually pay them?
Great question. So I align my compensation structure the way that I'm making money. So if I pay for a lead, we call it a paid lead. I pay the acquisitions manager a pretty industry standard commission of 12%. But if the acquisitions manager generates their own agent referral or listed property, which we call a self-generated lead, I pay them a 20% commission. So they can make almost twice as much, 8% more in commission if they go through and generate their own self-generated referrals by practicing everything I just shared with you.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Derek, are you still there? Just want to make sure you got the answer to your question if we need to follow.
Does that answer your question?
Still waiting to hear from Derek. Are there any other questions? If not, let's end on a good note. Everybody scan that QR code to connect with Paul. And a reminder in the chat is you can look at the past recordings at content.dealmachine.com, which is in the chat there. And then also, if you have Deal Machine questions, Ryan Hewitt, he's got office hours, and he's going to post those hours shortly, I think. Ryan, when is your office hours?
Yeah.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
So,
chat. There you go.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, 11 to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and Friday, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we've got a Google link that you guys can click to. Johnson Amadi says Paul's a beast, which I completely agree. And Paul, I just wanted to say thank you so much for giving your time away from your business, away from your family, to make sure that we all get some value at the Deal Machine Masterclass. And we will be back here, everyone, same time, same place next week. And with that, we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Deal Machine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.